Thank you very much for being with us about this webinar. My name is Nicole Stucki and I'm president of HR Switzerland. I'm very happy that we have today Nadia Fischer with us. She is founder of WikiWorks, and this company is specialized in the area of language, especially in the attraction of a broad set of people. And that's a big topic for HR people. So I'm very curious what she will tell us today.
Why does the language in job ads actually determine who applies? This is a fact, and why is that so? This is what we're going to look at. So a job ad is often still today the very first impression a talent has from a company. Naturally, also there is social media communication or the career page, but job ad still seems to be a very important contact. So in order to attract a lot of talent and in order to attract diverse talent, the idea should be that the window of this job ad is wide open and that everybody feels enticed to apply to your company. Well, the reality is somewhat different, and I'll explain you why. For that, we do a little quiz first, a little riddle. I want to ask you here, what is the difference between the field A and the field B? Please just call it out loud so we have a little discussion going.
The color?
The color, yes.
Color.
And what
the position? Field B is right in the center.
And what about the color?
Yeah, colors, yeah.
What's the difference?
White and black.
Yeah. Like, so field A is dark and field B is light, right? Does everybody see it like that? Okay, just want to make sure. Okay.
Field B also has a shadow, which is not good to me.
Okay. Very good, very well observed. Okay, what I'll do with the next click is actually to take your reflexes away, because in our brains, we have reflexes that help us understand the environment, help us understand life very quickly. But this is a part of the brain we don't really control. And with the next click, I put these reflexes away and I allow you to see the reality. I'm God. All right. So this is it. This is the reality. The reality is actually that these two fields have the exact same color. And I'm not here, making fun of you or anything. It is truly the case. These two fields have the exact same color. The fact is that, as I said, we interpret our environment in many cases with patterns that we have learned during our lives, also called we're socialized in a certain way. And in this example here, we're socialized with the checkerboard. And we've learned through our life that a checkerboard has white, black, in that manner as is a normal checkerboard. And as soon as we see a checkerboard, we intuitively make that checkerboard up. Even if, for example, here we have a disturbance of this cylinder and the shadow that falls onto the checkerboard, our brain unconsciously still interprets as A being dark and B being light, because this is what a checkerboard should look like, as we've learned. But the reality is that they have the exact same colors. Now, I'm going to go back, and now we know that A and B have the same color. Let me hear if you see now that they have the same color. Do you see the same color, or is it still a different color?
Do you mean the field or do you mean the writing?
No, the field.
But the field is white and black.
It's still white, right? It's white. Yeah. That's what I wanted to hear. Absolutely. I mean, I also still see A as dark and B as light. But as I said, it is the exact same color. So even that we know it, our brain still does not allow us to see the reality. It tells us, because we are so socialized, so patternized, we still see these two different colors, even though they're in reality are really the same color. And this is what we call unconscious bias. We have a bias because we base our interpretation of the environment due to a pattern that we've learned, and it is unconscious because we cannot even control it. Even though that we know that it's the same color, we cannot tell us, oh, now we know and we see now the same color. No, we cannot control it. We still see different colors. Our brain actually, treats us, doesn't treat us right. Now, this is what we call unconscious bias. And unconscious bias is really crucial for our own survival, because many, many decisions we are taken by patterns that we've learned, and they help us survive. For example, if you are standing on a street and you want to cross the street, and now you suddenly hear a very loud noise from a car going, wah, you won't cross the street. But this is due to a reflex you've learned during your childhood that, loud cars could be dangerous. So you hold yourself back from crossing the street. If you would do that with your conscious mind, you would be too slow, because the conscious mind is much slower in understanding the environment. It has to kind of see, oh, wait, I hear a loud voice. A loud voice could be a car. A car with a loud voice could be dangerous for me. By that time, you're already under the car. Okay, our reflexes, our unconscious mind is very fast in interpreting the environment and helps us to survive. The problem is, in certain circumstances, because it is based on patterns and biased patterns, it is detrimental to some groups of people, especially in recruitment. I give you another example. I would like you to read this little riddle. And if those who know it already, please don't answer, because then the whole fun is out of it. Please read this little riddle, and then we see what the solution should be. Okay, who knows the answer? Who is saying this last sentence?
Mother doctor.
The mother doctor. Thank you very much. So has everybody gotten to that solution?
Yeah. Yeah.
How long did it take you?
Not long, as soon as I read it.
Yeah. Any other experiences?
A bit of thinking. Had to figure it out. Even fast.
Okay. When I read this the first time, I didn't get to the answer, and I know many other people don't so either, because our unconscious biases we have are also represented in language. What happens here is that you read this riddle and you come over the sentence and calls the specialist. Now, specialists typically in our unconscious patterns that we have, the word specialist triggers immediately, unconsciously, an image in front of our inner eye, which is a man in most situations, in most human brains. Because we kind of were trained the way that specialists, especially in a hospital environment, rather are men. So the inner image that we have is a man. Now you read the riddle again, and then you say, but it can't be the man, because the man, meaning the father, is already dead. So it must be somebody else. And only at that point, the conscious mind starts to work and starts to trying to find the solution, and finally gets to the solution that it must be the mother. So to tell you that unconscious biases are also directly integrated into our language. In German and French, this is even worse, naturally, because German and French are gendered languages. And in this situation here, and calls the specialist, you would use a male, the male noun, because you don't know yet who you're talking about. Is it a woman or not? So you use the male generic, as we call it. And behind the male generic, we often see immediately man anyways. And that's the big problem when we say in German, often, yeah, we use the male generic, but logically everybody's meant, everybody needs to be addressed, but that doesn't happen because the inner image, the unconscious images automatically are man. So women would not feel addressed. In this example also it could be that, for example, it would not be the mother, but it would be a homosexual couple that has adopted a son. That is also truly, could also be a solution, but it's much less probable than the mother. But often I hear this solution first before I hear the solution of the mother. So what happens in language? The language is the expression of images, meaning that inside of our heads are a lot of unconscious images, and language is kind of the tool we use in order to express what images we see. The problem is that, as here with the example specialist, that the images that are triggered by these words often lead us into wrong directions. Now, what does this mean for job ads? Actually, it has been found out that 70% of job ads, and in the STEM fields, even 92% of the job ads, are written with words and word combinations that are deterring to diverse talent. Meaning, depending on your own socialization that you've gone through in your childhood, you actually interpret language quite differently. Language is not neutral. Women interpret language and words differently than men do. People with darker skin color also interpret language differently than people with white skin color. So it all depends on your own socialization, how you interpret language. To give you an example, if you write, for example, in your job ad, you are a very ambitious person, or we are a young and dynamic team, or in our organization, performance is really important, then all these people here will not feel invited to apply to the open position, because all these words and word combinations actually deter them unconsciously due to their socialization from applying to the job. The person that will respond to your job ad is the guy here on the left. And this is what we want to prevent, right? This from happening, because it's all this diverse talent that's out there that's very competent and does not apply because they just feel deterred by the words, and all unconsciously. They don't even realize that they feel deterred by this. So in the end, the window that we wanted to have far open is actually quite closed. And the big question here is, can we afford it? We are in time of labor shortage, as you all know. I mean, you must feel it probably daily. And we are also in a time where we have a lack of diversity in the organization. And legislation is coming now more and more that companies need to ensure diversity within their boards, within their management. And we also know from studies that diversity actually makes companies more performing economically. So diversity is really a good thing to have. But writing job ads still in that way, will prevent you from finding more talent and more diverse talent. So we cannot really afford not to look into this matter of language and how it affects talent. The solution to this is inclusive language. What is it? Inclusive language first does not use anymore these deterring words and word combinations of which we know that they deter diverse talent. But on the other hand, also it uses words and word combinations, synonyms and tonality in the text that allows to address any kind of talent, that also allows to involve people into the communication, into the discourse, and creates belonging. It goes much further than gender neutral language, right? It's much broader. It's a lot about emotionality, tonality, and inviting language. We've rewritten, when we started, we've rewritten a lot of job ads in an inclusive way, and this is what our clients say. They all say, hey, we receive now more applications, and especially we have a much more diversified talent pool, candidate pool, when we have an open position. And you see here also a study on the left. This was a study that was made with 3 million job ads. And those that were written in an inclusive way got 42% more applications than those that were written in traditional language. It's very important to say that inclusive language does not deter the traditional applicants. Right? They don't realize it. They don't feel any deterring factor when you write it inclusively. It only adds to your candidate pool. So there's in a job ad actually 15 factors that make a difference if it's inclusive or not, if we now look specifically at the job ad. First, it's how you structure your job ad makes a difference. And we've seen in studies with our own focus groups that, for example, the description of your company culture or also the description of your recruitment process is crucial for diverse talent. It's all about transparency and building trust. Naturally, another category is the linguistics, what word and word combinations you're using. Another one, though, category is the requirements, and I'll come back to that right afterwards. And in the end, it's also about where do you publish your job ad. Because what was also seen in studies is that most companies have their network, and their network often is not so diverse. Because you ask your own coworkers, hey, do you know anybody? We would like to have them. These referral programs, as we call them. And the problem is with these, you actually start to recruit more of the same people instead of being diverse. And headhunters often have the same problem. They have their given networks that are already tainted, and they keep on recruiting, keep on searching for people within these networks, so they never break out of the network where you have the same kind of people. And you can change this if you publish your job ad on niche job portals that target specifically underrepresented groups, and those exist. It just needs some research. Now, I wanted to enter a little bit more about the requirements thing. What was also found out in studies is that men do apply to job ads if they cover 40 to 60% of the requirements. Women only do so if they cover 90 to 100% of the requirements. And now this is typically due to socialization. Girls are taught to be diligent, very, how do you say? What is the word? Ehrlich.
Sincère in French.
Frank, exactly. Sorry.
Honest.
Honest, thank you. That was the word. Thank you. Are taught to be very honest and also authentic. So when they read all the requirements, they would feel like they would be lying if they apply, if they cover only like 40%. And that makes that, for example, if you in your job ad have put down 7 requirements, a guy covers 3 of these 7 requirements, and he says, yeah, I'll apply, that's fine, because he covers these between 40 and 60%. A woman, on the other hand, out of these 7, she covers 5 of the requirements, but she would decide not to apply because she does not cover 90 to 100%. Now, naturally, these are tendencies, and you always have exceptions. I'm just telling you here the tendencies. Now, the big question for recruiters is here, are you really getting the best applications? because you can see that actually she's better qualified, but she won't apply than him. So our recommendation here is really, cut yourself to four requirements and not more, because that way you can ensure that women will apply, right? Naturally, this is a big discussion within the organization. Which four shall we take? You need to prioritize. And it's also difficult, I guess, because from the 80s, we're still used to, put all down, all my requirements, so not too many people apply. But in most positions, at least today in Switzerland, you don't have an overflow of applications anymore. It's rather you don't get enough. And so this shouldn't be a problem anymore. So what we've also seen is that it's very hard to remember all those things and to learn how to write inclusively, from one day to the other. Because at school, we've been taught how grammar works, how orthograph works, and it's kind of got hammered into our heads. But nobody ever told us how to write inclusively, how to use a language that really addresses everybody. It's actually quite a new subject matter, because it comes with behavioral economism, and this is quite a new discipline. So what we've built is a software tool that helps you to write inclusively. And it's called the Diversifier. And with the next video, I shortly want to show you how it works.
From the dashboard, users create new job ads. We provide different templates. The best practice template is structured to appeal to diverse talents. The Diversifier currently checks job ads in 3 different languages. When entering the required information, the algorithm immediately starts checking that given information. A summary then guides users on how many terms are problematic. Users are now guided to formulate the body of the job ad, describing the role and the requirements. The algorithm detects terms and formulations that deter female talents or talents with diverse backgrounds from applying. When clicking on a highlighted term, the tool provides the users with the reason why that term is problematic, accompanied by a solution. It also proposes an alternative wording in order to enable the user to write inclusively. Users have the option to request a review by a human copywriter specialized in inclusive writing. The Diversifier also provides the option to publish the job ad via job portals that target underrepresented groups. Users choose the job portals in accordance with the target group of their open position. The job ad then gets directly published via the job portals.
So this tool should help you to write inclusively, so that you don't have to go in all the studies and all the research that we have done, but it's a tool that helps you on the spot, real time, how to write inclusively. And now just a little last riddle again, before I stop my little presentation. I want to ask you, who here is Kiki and who is Buba?
Kiki is the star for me.
I guess everybody else also thinks the same.
Yes,
Yes.
for me it's the same.
Okay, that's great, because this study was made all over the world in all the languages, and 80% of humans actually think that Kiki is the star and Buba is the bubbly figure. And this is really interesting, right? It means that even vocals, consonants that we learn independent from our language have a significance in our head, form directly images in our heads. And it was also learned in that study that actually all the vocals that are in front of your mouth, like A and E, are also attributed with the female character, where the lower tone vowels like A and O are rather attributed to the male sex. And we have, for example, the example from Margaret Thatcher. When she became prime minister, she actually had a higher voice than what I remember, because at the very beginning she just had her normal voice, but she realized that she wasn't seen as competent enough and trained her voice to go down so that she would be seen as more competent by everybody. And we also have found out in studies now that the voice of women, actually because of emancipation over the last decades, is coming down. They don't have to talk so highly anymore in order to look female. It is now, because of emancipation, accepted that they can talk at a lower voice and still be interpreted as female. So these are very, very interesting developments, I think, but it's also to show you that we associate forms, images directly with language, and that it's all based on patterns we carry around with ourselves that are unconscious. We have found in language stereotypes that come from the 18th century. So they're all still there. And in order to, if you write inclusively, we can start to work against these old stereotypes that don't make any sense anymore in our world. So, inclusive language in job ads eliminates the invisible hurdles for your talents of diverse backgrounds. And I invite you, if you like, to try out our Diversifier. It's free for 7 days, and you can just try it out and see how it works with your own job ads. Thank you.